So today I'm going to begin a series on Tiki cocktails. It's a particular genre of cocktail. So what is a Tiki? Well, you've probably seen them in movies and in picture books. Little statuettes that are stone or wood, and it has something to do with Polynesian mythology. Fortunately, the Tiki cocktails have absolutely nothing to do with the mythology whatsoever. It's just the decoration that are used in the restaurants where these are originally served. So what is Tiki? So Tiki began in 1933. There was a man by the name of Ernest Gant who started a restaurant in the corner room of a hotel in Hollywood, California back in 1933. So people were coming off of the Great Depression. Drinkers were just coming out of the period of time when it was illegal to make and sell alcohol, and so people were looking for a release, something to make themselves feel a little better about life. Maybe they had been saving up for a trip to some garden paradise, something in the Caribbean or something in the South Pacific, and now of course they're not going to be able to do that. So Gant brought that to them in this little restaurant that he opened, called Don's Beachcomber Cafe, and the decor was all maritime, so it was cargo nets and lobster traps and diving bell helmets and things of that sort to kind of give you the feeling like you're at the beach. In reality, most of it is kind of Polynesian based, but most of the influences that he used were actually from the Caribbean, not so much from Polynesia. And then later on, he went on to become a kind of a war hero in World War II, where he was a lieutenant colonel in the Army Air Force. So he was known as Don the Beachcomber. That just became his nickname. And so he started the Tiki movement. He's known as the father of Tiki. So while he's away in fighting in World War II, along comes another man by the name of Victor Bergeron. And Victor Bergeron started a restaurant in 1944 in the Oakland, California area to kind of take up where Don the Beachcomber left off. And he became known as the apostle of Tiki. So he's the one that spread the word and made it not only national, but even international. Even people in Southeast Asia started saying, look, it's really not ours, but we want to adopt it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start with my first Tiki recipe for you. And it's going to be one of Trader Vic, as he became known. Victor Bergeron became known as Trader Vic. It's going to be one of his actually his most popular recipe ever, which is the Mai Tai. Now, there was some dispute as to who actually started the Mai Tai. Was it Victor Bergeron or was it Don the Beachcomber? And there was some legal battle over that. And in the end, Trader Vic got to keep both the name and the recipe. So I not only want to show you how to make a Mai Tai, I want to show you how to make Trader Vic's Mai Tai, at least as close as we can get. So today people will make a Mai Tai, and it's kind of a boozy drink. They'll make it with a couple ounces of white rum or a couple ounces of dark rum. Not even very close, actually. Some people will say, well, we want an ounce of dark and an ounce of white. That gets a little closer, but not exactly. You see, Trader Vic was a master mixologist, and he was a man on a mission. He was trying to accomplish something specific. So it's not just about dark versus white. He selected specific rums. So if you go back and look at his original recipe, we can never actually duplicate that, because he used a 17-year-old Ray and Nephew dark rum from Jamaica, and that hasn't been made in decades. I understand there's like 5 bottles of it still in existence, and when one does come available, they trade for tens of thousands of dollars. So we're not going to do that, but we're going to see what we can find that's very similar. So in order to get something close, it's got to be from Jamaica, because no matter where you produce rum in the world, every place that you produce is going to have its own interesting characters that others will not. What makes Jamaican rum, and this is my Jamaican rum I'm going to use, what makes Jamaican rum so unique is it has a lot of what rum aficionados refer to as rum funk. And if you ask an aficionado what does that mean, they will say, well, it's really kind of hard to explain. but you'll know what it is when you taste it. Well, I'm going to attempt to explain what it is. So you have a banana. It's bright yellow on the outside. You peel it back. Inside you have an opaque fruit that is sweet and firm and kind of creamy. If you leave that banana sitting on the table until it's covered with black splotches or maybe even completely black, so it's started to compost, and you peel that back, the fruit on the inside is semi-transparent and gelatinous and overly sweet, almost kind of rotted tasting. And that is what rum funk tastes like. It tastes like an overripened banana that's just about to expire. So it's very important that you have that. So it should be a dark rum. It should be from Jamaica. It should be aged. His was 15 years old. This particular one I'm going to use is a blend of several different rums, some of them as much as 5 years old, so it is an aged rum. And it should be pot stilled. So also the method of distillation can make a difference in the way the rum tastes. So that's what I'm going to use. Now for his white rum, again, he didn't just use any white rum. So this dark rum is made from molasses, which is a byproduct of sugar. The white rum that he used was made from sugarcane juice. And it wasn't just your typical rum, it's a rum agricole. So whenever you see rum spelled R-H-U-M, it indicates that rather than being from a Spanish or British territory, it's actually from a French territory. So in this case, Martinique. And what makes this really unique is that it's very unlike rum at all. It's very herbal. It's got a lot of grassiness to it, kind of like grass clippings, lemongrass, lime zest. So it's entirely different, the two. So if you were to just grab any dark and any white, in all likelihood, let me paint a picture of this for you. In all likelihood, what you're going to end up with is a variance which would be like taking light molasses and medium molasses and using them both together. So basically they taste the same. One's just got a little more flavor than the other. The way that he did it, these two are such extremes that it'd be more like using blackstrap molasses and lemon juice. That's how far apart they are in the way that they taste. So with that, I'm going to begin mixing, and I'm going to do this in a shaker. We're going to shake this up once we get it all put together. And so I'm going to start with the dark rum. And so we want 1 ounce of the dark rum. In this case, I'm using Hamilton, which is from Jamaica. So I want 1 ounce of Hamilton dark rum. All right. And I'm going to put in, oh, I can smell that rum funk. This is absolutely extreme. And then I'm going to do 1 ounce of the white rum, or the rum agricole. Okay. And then with that, we're going to mix in 1 ounce of lime juice, which I've pre-measured. And I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce of dry orange curacao. So it's an orange liqueur, but it's more on the dry side. It's not sweet and fruity like say like a triple sec or an orange curacao. So I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce of this. And then I want to do a 1/2 ounce of orgeat. Orgeat, if you're not familiar with it, orgeat is an almond syrup. So a 1/2 ounce of orgeat. I've got some other ingredients here, but I'm not going to use them till the end. All right, so now that I've got that in my shaker, I'm going to use some crushed ice. You don't need a fancy machine to crush ice. You can use a Lewis bag. So you put your ice in there, and they usually come with a mallet, or well, maybe $20, and you just put that in there and you just hammer it until it's busted up. So you're crushing the ice manually. So I'm going to put a little bit of my crushed ice in my shaker, and we're going to shake it up. Now, normally I would advise you to use like a big block of ice so you're not watering down your drink. In this case, we're going to do the exact opposite because this is a very boozy drink. There's a lot of alcohol in here, so it's good, actually. It's refreshing to be able to water that down a little bit. So we'll shake. And that should be about all it takes. Then I'm going to put some ice in my glass. And I'm not going to fill it all the way up, but I'm going to fill it up pretty high. As you can see, it's crushed pretty good. So about that far. And then I'm going to pour this in. Actually, just pour it in directly. Oh my, got a little bit much. All right. Then put just a tad more ice in there. And then I want to do a rum float. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a ½ ounce of dark rum. In this case, one of my favorites. This is the entry-level plantation dark rum. And we're just going to gently pour that right on top and just kind of float it in there, just so we get a little bit of dark rum on the surface. All right, and then we're ready to garnish. And so we'll take a little bit of mint. It's as fresh as I could find, unfortunately. I'm going to bruise that up a little bit so that flavor comes out. And then we're going to take one of our lime shells, and we're going to put that right there on top and insert a straw, and there's our Mai Tai. So what this is supposed to represent is your stereotypical deserted island, just a little hump with a couple of palm trees in the back, and that's what you got. Let's see how this thing tastes. Ooh, outstanding. Very strong. Now, one other thing you can do, so you would typically drink this on your patio or on the beach or wherever you're going to be. Let's say, for example, you're going to drink it on the patio at night, or you're going to drink it out in the backyard with some Tiki lanterns around. One thing you can do with this is you can take your little island here and you can invert it. So we're going to turn this inside out and make it into a little bowl. Okay, so once we invert that, we're going to use it like a little bowl. And I've darkened the room just a little bit so you can see this a little better. So I'm going to take 151 rum. I'm using the Don Q because most 151 rum has literally no taste to it. It's so hot, it's got so much alcohol that you can barely taste the flavor of the rum. The Don Q actually is pretty flavorful. So I'm going to take a little bit of this Don Q, and I'm just going to put some right here in this little lime shell. And anything that is at least 100 proof is flammable. So 151 is highly flammable. So I don't want to get any sulfur down in my drink, so we'll let that go for a second. And then I'm going to, can you see it? Got a little bit of a blue flame there. And so at night, when you're out on a patio or something, you can see that very clearly. And so you've just now turned your drink into a tiki torch. Just a little added something. So anyway, that's how you make a authentic Trader Vic Mai Tai. Thanks for watching.